Here's an example of one of our plumbed-in coolers, which basically is a normal water cooler, and we can convert any of our standard water coolers to be connected directly to the main supply via a pipe. It's a very nice and simple solution if you're not looking to constantly be refilling a filter bottle or replacing bottles on the cooler. Things to keep in mind though, you are attached to a pipe, so you haven't quite got the freedom of placing the cooler anywhere where you'd want to, but you do have the convenience of the cooler constantly being filled with water and not having to worry about a bottle running out or changing bottles as you go along. The units then basically just provide you with a constant supply of cold water and hot water. If you're looking just to supply 1 or 2 people, you can consider the thermoelectric units, but they only supply about 700 milliliters of really cold water an hour. If you have a household situation or a situation where you want to have quite a few people using the units, definitely rather go for the compressor units, as they simply have a much larger capacity. Next, there's 2 things to consider. 1, the maintenance, and 2, the actual quality of the water that you'll be drinking. Now, on the maintenance side, if you simply have the cooler connected up directly to the municipal supply, you will have to disassemble the whole thing quite frequently to actually open up the tank and clean everything out inside, as you do get quite a bit of dirt buildup and sometimes bacteria buildup inside. If you're only really looking for cold or hot water, the setup does work. Just keep in mind about once a month you'll have to open it up and clean it. Therefore, we always recommend hooking up some kind of a filter system with one of these units. We specifically use the same pipe as the fridges use and as we use on our under-counter units. So in theory you can hook up any of the fridge filters or any of the under-counter units to this system. The 2 we have here today are the 2 most popular options. If you're looking for something compact and simple, this triple pack fridge filter setup basically has a sediment filter, a carbon filter and an ultrafiltration membrane, which together removes dirt, chlorine, smells and tastes, and actually has a physical barrier to block bacteria. The unit is a little bit more expensive in terms of running costs, because you basically replace all the filters and their housings each time you replace it. Typical lifespan would be 6 months to a year on that, but it is a very easy setup for maintenance, because you simply cut the pipe, connect your incoming side to the sediment filter, and connect your side going to the cooler to the ultrafiltration membrane, and it is a few minutes and you've got a filter system connected. The slightly cheaper system to run, but a slightly larger thing to install, would be the triple fridge filter system. This is basically our triple under-counter unit without the supply connection, which you already have with the kit, and a tap, because you're using the cooler to dispense your water. And the nice thing with this triple under-counter system, you're not replacing the whole unit, you're only replacing the individual filter cartridges, and it's basically the same process. It's a sediment filter, just instead of carbon we have a KDF filter, which lasts a little bit longer and has a bit more of a resistance to bacteria growth on the filter, and then we use a 0.2 micron filter as a barrier for bacteria here. Overall, reduces your maintenance cost a little bit on the system, but it is a larger unit, and you need to make sure that you have some space to accommodate this actual unit in the setup. As we said, you can really use any of the other under-counter systems. We do supply T-pieces if you have an existing under-counter system that you simply want to hook up one of these units to supply cold and hot water from the existing unit. But it's highly recommended to use a filter system on this, because it dramatically reduces your actual time in maintenance from having to clean the unit, as it changes it from once a month to once every few years you need to actually open it up and clean it. And then you have the comfort of knowing that you are drinking safe drinking water from your new setup here with the dispenser. There's 2 very important things to keep in mind when looking to set up a unit like this. The first thing is the float system in the unit can be overwhelmed by high pressure. If you have quite high pressure where you're looking to set up the unit, we strongly recommend ordering one of our adjustable pressure valves, as that's something you could fit in line, and then you can adjust your pressure down to a much lower pressure, and that will just make it a lot less likely that you get any leaks from the system. The second thing to consider is hardness, especially if you're looking to use the hot water tank on one of these units. The hot water tank is basically like a miniature geyser, and the elements are very susceptible to hardness buildup on the elements, like you would get with a hard water on the geysers as well. The only big downside is if you have a hot water tank blow up or crack on one of these units, it's typically in an area where you really don't want the water to be running out, like on top of a kitchen counter or in the middle of an office. So if you have got hard water in place, we really strongly recommend hooking it up to either a reverse osmosis or a nanofiltration system that will actually remove that hardness before you get into the unit.